Hello, friends and neighbors. Dr. Ken Berry back with you for the next edition of Monday Night Live. And to my left this evening is not Neisha Solis-Berry. This is Amanda Decker, nurse practitioner. She has a practice in Dixon, Tennessee. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself.
Amanda Decker.
So I've been a nurse practitioner for 20 years. The last half of my career, I've been making up for the first half of my career, helping make people healthier instead of being a pill pusher. So I enjoy helping people lose weight, manage their hormones, reverse diabetes, reverse hypertension, that kind of thing. So I opened ClearPath Medical in January of this year, and we are licensed in now 22 states, but my primary practice is in Dixon.
Do you have all the states you're licensed?
Oh, goodness.
Memorized?
No, you would ask me that. No, not licensed.
No.
We're not memorized.
Not memorized. Yep. Okay. So on social media, she's Decker Less Carbs, Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter. And you guys can check her out there. We've been working together for a few years now. And I have found her to be a wonderful resource and a great help to patients who want to see people either in the clinic or virtually.
That's very nice of you.
Well, I mean, we're live, so I can't, Granny Berry always told me, if you can't say something nice. So I try to say nice things. Okay. So for the next hour, we're going to be hanging out, answering your questions about low carb, keto, ketovore, carnivore, lion diet, intermittent fasting, nutrition, medicine. We try to stay away from politics, sex, and religion.
Okay.
If that's okay.
I'm totally down with that.
That's okay. All right. But sometimes if politics and medicine step on each other's toes, we might mention that tangentially.
Sometimes politics and religion step on each other's toes.
100%. So if you have a question for me or nurse practitioner Decker, type it in the comments, keep it as short as you can, and include all relevant information, and we will try to answer your questions. I saw one back up here. Where was that at? Oh, well, now I can't find it. Somebody said, what's the least bad alcohol that you can drink? If you're going to drink, what's the least bad alcohol? And I can tell that person's been watching me for a while, because anybody else will say, what's the best alcohol? It's like, no, there is no best. There is less bad. So my opinion, the least bad alcohol is to drink the least amount that you can of a sugar-free, zero carb liquor, basically, is all you're left with, in a mixer that has no sugar, no carbs, and no fructose. You agree with that?
I do.
Are you a drinker? Do you ever have a drink?
On occasion.
On occasion? Yeah. What's your go-to?
I'll probably do like a vodka and salsa water.
Yeah.
Or a very low-carb wine on occasion.
Yeah. Nisha loves the low-carb wine on occasion. When I have a drink, which has been 2 months, I'll have vodka soda lime or Gentleman Jack soda lime. That's kind of my go-to. And that way I getting effectively no sugar whatsoever. I have one drink, and typically that's it for me. Back when I was a younger man, I could drink a lot and have fun that day and the next day. Now,
not so much.
If I have 2 drinks, I don't sleep all night, and it's a terrible day the next day. It's just not worth it anymore. Yeah, so I'm over that. I'm now officially an adult.
Adulting is not fun.
Oh, Coach Paulette says, no, that's not Coach. There's Coach Paulette. When I do drink, I prefer red wine, hopefully low carb Paulette, and hopefully rarely. Jennifer says, what should my testosterone be? 67-year-old female with current testosterone under 10. Now, you guys do some hormone optimization at your clinic in Dixon, Tennessee as well. And so you go ahead and answer that one, and then I'll follow up.
So I'm going to say it depends, because a lot of low testosterone symptoms are also low estrogen symptoms. So you need to check both of those. But generally, I like you closer to about a 12 to 15 at least.
Yeah. And if you're having low testosterone symptoms, Jennifer, and that's for any hormone issue, that's my number one question is, what are your symptoms? I don't even want to know what your number is until I hear your symptoms first. And I think you need both of those in order to make a good diagnostic and treatment decision. Absolutely. Now, I did hormone optimization for 20 years. And a 10 is low. If you're having symptoms, that's low, definitely. I found that most of my women felt their best when I kept them somewhere between 20 and 70.
Now, are you talking total or
Total
free?
testosterone. Yeah,
I'm
total
talking
testosterone.
free.
Yeah. What do you try to get the total testosterone for
It
women?
depends on how they're feeling.
Yeah,
If they're feeling great and they're above 20, I think awesome.
No, I totally agree. Totally agree. And now, with that being said, let me say this. If you're 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, and you're like, well, do I need testosterone? I mean, and my question would be to you, how do you feel? If you're like, oh, hell, I feel great. I sleep like a baby. I'm out and working. I'm having fun. Me and my friend, have a little business on the side. I would be like, I don't even care what your testosterone number is. I don't even want to check it.
Yeah.
Because you feel amazing.
Exactly.
But for you women out there, if you're like, my answer was no to all those questions, then you need to get your testosterone checked and your progesterone,
Yes.
which is often underlooked and very, very important. And of course, your estrogen as well. And then to get all three optimized. And in my practice, I found that if I optimize testosterone and progesterone, estrogen kind of took care of itself because of the aromatase in most people. Yeah, most people. Some I had to give estrogen, but most, they didn't really have any symptoms once I fixed the T and the P.
Some women actually respond better to estrogen, especially with things like sex drive. I know we're not supposed to talk about
we're
that.
We're going to talk about that. That's medical.
It is. And
that's
then
medical.
We're also talking about the dryness issue that can come there too.
Exactly.
That
And the thinning of the tissue.
Fix.
Right. That's a great point. Great point. Excellent. Okay, let's see what else is going on. Here's Coach Alyssa. What is she talking about? Lifting heavy things. That's right, baby. Lift those heavy things. I love it. All right, guys, type your question in now if you want us to answer it. And if you want to bump your question to the top of the line, you can include it in a super chat. That's obviously not necessary. Here's Stephanie. Got my blood work back. HDL 40, LDL 147, trigs 104, creatinine 51. How can I raise my HDL and creatinine? So you want to raise your creatinine? I think you may have meant something else. Your trigs are fine. Your HDL is a little bit on the low side. And the two things that I found that increase that is to eat more fatty red meat and lift heavy things.
Was that what Coach Alyssa was responding to?
Probably was. Yeah, probably was. But I don't know why you would want to get your creatinine higher. Maybe you meant your creatinine filtration rate, but I don't know. That's worded funny. I'm not sure what you meant by that. I'm sorry. Okay. Is anybody, Lady Lexi can't hear us. Anybody else having audio issues? Is audio fine? Yeah, Neisha's fine. She's out in her greenhouse, actually. This is Amanda Decker, nurse practitioner. This is my new wife. No. Neisha's in the greenhouse. She's making a video for the farm channel. And Amanda is filling in tonight. Neisha's fine. Everybody's fine. Absolutely. Sorry. You never know. A vendor, what should my fasting insulin be? Great question. Now, first of all, how many of you guys are like, what's a fasting insulin? I've never heard of that. My doctor's never ordered that. Fasting insulin is the most important metabolic test you can have checked. The most important. I want to know your glucose and your A1C. I want to know your trigs and your HDL. Fine. Tell me your LDL if you must. But I care about your fasting insulin. That's the number one test. Most doctors don't even know to order it. How many times have you gotten a new patient in the clinic and they're all about trying to lose weight and be healthier, and you're looking through the labs and they're like, have they ever checked your fasting insulin? And they're like, huh? How often? How often does that happen? When they transfer from somebody else?
Rarely.
Now,
Rarely do I have a fasting.
Oh, rarely do you have it in the chart. Gotcha.
No.
Give me a number.
But yes.
Yeah, but when you have a patient transfer and you're looking at the transfers records, it's what percentage of the time is there fasting insulin?
Is there one in the chart? Maybe less than 3%.
The average doctor has no clue the power of a fasting insulin. Amanda knows that you can predict somebody developing type 2 diabetes 10 to 20 years into the future. by looking at their fasting insulin. So, Avendra, I love it that you know enough to ask this question. You want your fasting insulin to definitely be under 10. Now, fasting's in the name. You need to be fasting when you get it checked, or it's going to be high and it won't be of any therapeutic or diagnostic value. Now, if you look at the LabCorp or the Quest sheet, it says that anything under 25, I think, is that right? That's what
25,
yeah. That's not true at all. If your fasting insulin is 22, 23, you have hyperinsulinemia, and you are on the dead end road to develop type 2 diabetes if you don't already have it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You want it under 10. I consider that good and normal. Optimal is when you're getting down close to 5.
Yeah.
What's your fasting insulin?
3 last time I checked it.
Darn, she got me beat. I think mine was 6 and change or something like that.
Well, can it be too low?
It definitely can be too low. So what if you checked the fasting insulin on somebody and it came back 0.1?
I'm very concerned that they are type 1 diabetic.
And how many times have you caught a type 2 diabetic that was really a type 1?
Really? 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also, this is way more common than it should be. A doctor should literally be beaten about the head and neck with a wooden board if they diagnose an adult who's developed type 1 diabetes, which happens. It's rare, but it happens. If they mistakenly diagnose them as type 2, they should be taken behind the woodshed because it does permanent damage to that person because they've got them on 3, 4, 5 type 2 medications. Nothing's working. Their A1C is 14.
It's their fault, though. Their fault. They're just eating bad.
Right. But if they had just checked that fasting insulin, then they would have known, oh, you're a type 1. I need to start you on insulin. And so I hope that helps, Avendra. It's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Let's get one more and then we'll go. Oh, Stephanie's last fasting insulin was 3.9. If you know what your last fasting insulin was, put it in the comments. I want to see, and then or put, I have no idea because my doctor's a dummy in the comments. Either way. Skaggs, I've been studying this very deeply lately. How much sleep is normal?
Do you know it's Sleep Awareness Week?
Oh, is it?
It is.
I was not aware. No, I wasn't aware. So this is a huge question. It's very important for your health, but very often doctors have never studied this. They haven't looked into it. They haven't even thought about it. And so the average doctor is going to say, oh, you need 8 hours of sleep, right? Well, guess what? If you can get 8 hours and you feel great with 8 hours, that's fine. That's healthy. But did you know, and you may not know this, I don't know how deeply you've looked into this. I've been looking at the archaeology and anthropology of this. When you look at hunter-gatherer tribes that are still asleep, when the sun goes down, there is no light. And then they get up when the sun comes up, their average sleep duration, 6.8 hours. And that's for multiple different hunter-gatherer tribes that are still extant on the earth today. And then when you start, I just finished a book about nighttime in the distant past. I can't remember the name of it. Damn it. It's a great book, but in there, they had a whole section about second sleep. Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay. So a lot of people haven't. It's fascinating. And so a lot of people think they have insomnia because they go to bed at 9 or 10 and they sleep for 3 or 4 hours and they're wide awake for an hour or two, but then they go back to sleep. That used to be not only normal in the past, that used to be the predominant sleep pattern of human beings. It was called first sleep and second sleep. And this was before the advent of gas and electric lights. When the sun went down, that was it. You were done. Most people went to sleep at 7 or 8. They would sleep for 3 or 4 hours. Then they would wake up. They would tend the fire. They'd take a leak. They'd maybe, have some communication with their bed partner.
I'm not talking about that.
They would read the Bible. They would pray. They would do all these things. And then they would go back to sleep. And this guy was researching. He was looking at the angle of, electric light, how that changed. And he kept seeing these references in legal documents after my first sleep, right before my second sleep. And he was like, what the hell? What is that? What are they talking about? And he basically stumbled upon this biphasic sleep pattern that used to be the predominant way that people slept. Nobody slept 8 hours dead to the world before the advent of electric lights. And then all of a sudden, when there was the streets were lit, you'd be like, hey, let's go down the street to the bar. Let's whatever. And then people started staying up later and later, and our sleep cycle got compressed to just one
That's
period
right.
of sleep. But the anthropological research shows that it's somewhere between 6 and 8 hours. That's what's healthy for you. Now, I've noticed as I've gotten older, I don't need 8 hours. But also, since I've been carnivore, I do not need 8 hours sleep at all. In fact, if I had to stay in bed 8 solid hours, I would go a little crazy with my ADHD.
Yeah, I had that conversation with somebody today because a lot of the research that is out there on sleep saying that it increases metabolic syndrome, drives you sooner to diabetes, is all on people doing the standard American diet.
Right.
And
Right.
many of the clients, as they do move to
Right.
carnivore eating, they're just like, I can't get that 8 hours anymore. I'm doing good to get sick.
Right.
But I'm okay during
Yeah.
the day and it's not slowing me down.
Yeah. But you hit on a key point, and that's that all the sleep research that's been done for the last 100 years was done on bread eaters.
Yeah.
People that were eating 200, 300 grams of carbs a day every day were hyperinsulinemic, were inflamed, had sugar coma, and so you have that bedtime snack of cake. Well, yeah, you're high on sugar. You're going to go to sleep. Yeah. So I hope that helped, Skaggs 19. That was a great question. All right, let's go over here. Here's Mac. Diagnosed with MS, had gut problems for years before the diagnosis. Could this be parasites? If so, the Lion diet kills these over time. Thanks, Doc. Okay. So we're going to do a multi-part answer here.
Okay.
First of all, diagnosed with MS. Actually, our friend, Dr. Sean Baker, has 3 or 4 documented case reports of people who had documented lesions on MRI of the brain that they definitely had black and white MS. They have MS, no ifs, ands, or buts, that are now not only in remission on a carnivore diet, no symptoms, but their white matter lesions have either shrunk significantly or are gone on a repeat MRI. Okay, there's that. So if you know anybody with multiple sclerosis, you got to tell them about a carnivore diet.
Absolutely.
That's number one. That's huge. They're writing up a case series right now to get that published. Now, the gut, it's very common to have gut symptoms for years before you develop an autoimmune condition. It's almost like the gut plays an integral part in your overall immune health. Could this be parasites? No. 99.7.
There's that one little one that somehow goes to your brain and eats your brain.
Right. No, this is not parasites. This has gotten very popular lately to talk about worms. Who was it? Michaela Peterson? Somebody there was a huge podcast. It's like, oh, everybody has helmets. I think it was maybe Gabrielle Lyon.
I missed that one.
Not because, parasites, that could be Giardia, that could be any kind of number of little bacteria and other little things. But helminths, worms, that the majority of people have worms and it's undiagnosed. This is ridiculous. I can't remember who it was and who it was. I'm not bad-mouthing. I'm just saying that's factually incorrect. Okay. Unless you live in a house with a dirt floor or you go barefoot 24/7, you have chickens in the house, pigs in the house, goats in the house, stuff you shouldn't have in the house. You might have worms. Granny Berries, who's watching from Alabama. Hello, Granny Berry. We love you. Amanda loves you too.
I love you, but I don't know you, but I love you.
This is not Neisha. This is Amanda Decker. She's a nurse practitioner from Dixon. Granny Berry actually used to have worms all the time. And I asked her as a young doctor, I'm like, people keep coming and bring me their poop. And it's like, I've got worms, see? And she's like, honey, if somebody's got worms, there's no doubt that you have worms. And I'm like, well, how do you know if you have worms? She's like, well, you poop and you look at your poop and there's worms literally crawling around in your poop. Yeah. That's tapeworms, that's pinworms, that's roundworms. And she said also the worms like to crawl out of your butthole at night and lay their eggs. And so your butt itches worse than any other itch you've ever had in your life. That's the pinworms. And I'm like, so you don't think somebody can have worms and be pretty healthy and not know it? She's like, no, definitely not. Also, her and all her brothers and sisters were skinny as a rail because they had worms and the worms were eating all the food. Yeah. So once a year, her mother, my great-grandmother, Grandma Henson, would give her little pills called red chasers, which would basically make you shit your brains out. Okay. And that would get rid of the worms for a while. But then they were all barefoot. There were chickens walking under the floor, and they're going to get worms again. You do not have worms. No, you don't. Unless you meet the criteria I talked about earlier, you don't have worms. Okay. It's not worms. But carnivore for multiple sclerosis, 100%. Missy May, 2.5 months carnivore, not losing weight, age 39, 5'8", with 40 pounds to lose. Crohn's in remission. Still poor sleep, though, waking at 2 a.m. Maybe it's biphasic sleep.
Or maybe it's stress.
That's right. It's really hard to tell sometimes. What would you tell a 39-year-old woman who's got 40 pounds to lose? She's been 2.5 months carnivore. What's the next step?
So first, I would say your Crohn's is in remission. We need to celebrate that non-scale victory. A lot of times the
100%.
body has to get healthy before it can start shedding weight. So I'm not overly alarmed that you're not losing weight like crazy if you've been working on your gut in this time. Next thing is you're 39. Honey, I'm there with you. We're headed into, actually, I'm older than you, sorry. But
Barely.
but I am older than you. But also progesterone starts to wane about that time.
Yep.
It can affect your sleep. It can also affect your weight. I would say you need to add more stress relieving movements like yoga, stretching at night, gentle walking, things of that nature. You can look at some GABA to help you sleep. But more than anything, you just need to be patient. Your body's healing itself. Let it keep doing its thing.
Yep. And I love that you're ready to check her sex hormones. And you notice she said, let's check your progesterone. That's typically, that and testosterone are typically the first hormones to tank when you start dipping your pinky toe in the menopausal river. It's not estrogen. That when that tanks, then you get hot flashes and night sweats. But you can be in pre or perimenopause for 10 years with super low progesterone, which basically makes it not impossible to lose weight, but exceedingly challenging. So I love that. And then let's check a full thyroid panel. Because if your doctor's just checked a TSH, you may have undiagnosed Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism or a reverse T3 problem, and you have no idea. Nor does your doctor have any idea because they didn't check the labs. And adrenal labs in there for good mixture. And then always take your daily dose of vitamin P. Patience. Your body's still healing. I mean, Crohn's does a number on your body. You're still healing from that. And so be thankful for your victories. Keep investigating why you're not losing weight as fast as you think you should. And keep going. You're on the right course. Thank you very much, SLR. Fully laden swallow. This is the best handle of anybody. Greetings. I noticed recently that a cyst on the back of my neck had shrunk by about 65%. After eating more fatty cuts of beef for about 3 weeks. Coincidence, or was it the fat increase? Thoughts, please. Probably not coincidental. Many people notice that sebaceous cysts, pilonidal cysts, keratosis pilaris, acanthosis nigricans, acne, all these things get better when you cut the carbs and bump up the animal fat. Because what you're doing is getting rid of the chronic hyperinsulinemia and the chronic inappropriate inflammation. And I think that's exactly what's happening to you. I've actually, before I started recommending keto, sebaceous cysts always grew. Lipomas always grew. They always got bigger, right? You'd see them and they're like, yeah, I can take it out, but it's not a big deal. Come back in a year, it's bigger. 100% of the time, right? But then when I started recommending keto, I'd have somebody come back in who'd had a sebaceous cyst or they had a lipoma somewhere. And I'm like, oh yeah, let me see. And they're like, oh, it's way smaller now. I forgot to even mention it. That's because you're eating a proper human diet now. Yeah, 100%. Big deal. All right. Hamilton, fasting plus proper human diet. How long should I expect to wait for my morning sugar readings to come down? Thanks for all you do, Dr. Berry. So I would say, let's follow your A1C and fasting insulin every 3 months, because for some people, their blood sugars will come down in just a few weeks, 65, 70, 73, 83. Others will stay in the 90s or even the low hundreds for months. But when you check the A1C and the fasting insulin, they're getting better every 3 months.
Your fructosamine is going to improve faster.
Yeah. And so fructosamine actually it gives you a 2-week window of what your blood sugar's been doing. And so if any of you guys are impatient and you don't want to wait 3 months to get the A1C, you can get a fructosamine every 2 to 4 weeks, and you can see it absolutely improving. Most doctors, again, have no clue what a fructosamine is. The typical doctor response is, well, I don't even know what that is. I wouldn't even know how to interpret it. A literal admission of ignorance.
Plus, and your insurance isn't going to pay for it.
Right, because they
don't know if it's going to pay for
never
it.
billed for it before. They don't know. Yeah, and so if you have prediabetes, diabetes, it's going to pay for fructosamine. Mm-hmm. Almost always. Definitely going to pay for the insulin and the A1C. If you're eating, you said proper human diet, but if you're on carnivore, I don't even care what your morning blood sugar is. I just want you to check every 3 months A1C and fasting insulin. Is that kind of how you roll? Yeah. I think that's because your blood sugar can vary from person to person. Did Neisha go on the standard American diet? No, she did not. Neisha's still very much ketovore. The last couple of days, she's been 100% meat. And every now and then she'll chop up some onions or get some herb out of the garden, but she's still very much ketovore. She's on the Neisha diet. Yeah, she's actually in the greenhouse right now making a video for our farm channel or for her channel. If you don't follow Neisha, it's Neisha. She got a great YouTube channel. She's the most famous Neisha on YouTube. Did you know that? You just type in her name.
Neisha I know.
Well, there's some others, but she's the most famous one. And this is Amanda Decker. She's a nurse practitioner, and her handle on all social media is Decker Less Carbs.
And I'm not on the standard American diet either.
No. Let's talk about your diet and kind of your journey a little bit. How about that?
Sure. You want to know my diet now, or what do you want to know?
I want to know where you were and how you got here to where you're at now.
Okay. So I was overweight at the age of 5. So I yo-yoed up and down on my weight from 5 to 30, pretty much. Having to restrict very tightly to get the weight that I wanted to achieve, and then going back up. In fact, I was just telling Kim before we went on, or Dr. Barry, sorry, she's proper.
Okay.
But that at 12, I weighed the same amount that I weighed when I delivered my first child.
So at 12 years of age, you weighed the same exact number that you weighed when you were about to have your first child.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also
had some trouble with her weight.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also had psoriasis from the age of 5, and that's in the early 80s. It's rare to have someone that young have psoriasis. Yeah. It was just a not common diagnosis. But I found the proper human diet, kind of stumbled on it by mistake, taking my grandmother's wisdom around the age of 30, and have been weight stable since then. Now, my diet is sometimes all the way carnivore, sometimes ketovore, sometimes it's just low carb. It depends on how I feel at the moment. I can tell when my inflammation is building. I can itch at those sites. I get more bloated, and then I know I just got to be stricter. But God help me, I just love some vegetables on occasion.
See, I hear people say that, and I don't understand.
I love steak a lot.
But you
live on a farm.
What vegetables do you love that you truly can say, I love that vegetable?
Okay, so I love mushrooms.
Okay, not a vegetable.
I love asparagus.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I like salad on occasion.
Okay.
I mean, most vegetables I love are actually fruits or fungi, but
right. I got you. Now let's talk about the psoriasis.
Yeah.
If you guys picked up on that, at its worst, how bad was your psoriasis?
Yeah. At its worst, there was at least 80% of my body that had some plaque on it. Not necessarily completely covered, but on that hand percentage that we do as doctors, it was at least on 80% of my body, to the point that I was on a immunosuppressant medicine to get rid of my psoriasis.
To dumb down your immune system so that it would stop attacking your skin. Yeah. Exactly. And when you adopted a proper human diet and stuck with it, what has happened to your psoriasis?
So I currently is on probably about 1% of my body. I have a little bitty spot. Well, so I went full carnivore for about 90 days and came off the Stelara. That's how I got off of the Stelara. And I stayed clear, 100% clear, for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. And then a lot of stress hit in my life, and I got just a little bitty patch in the back of my head, and it won't go away regardless of what I do. Yes, I went back and done carnivore for a long stint. It still is not going away.
Yeah, but so just a little hair patch
just
now,
little,
where it used to be 80%. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. So if you know somebody who has eczema, psoriasis, any other skin condition, it also works just exactly the same for acne. Please share this video with them. Okay, because when you were 80, had 80% coverage on Stelara, If somebody had said, you know, if you just change your diet, that'll go almost completely away, right? What would you have said to that person?
Bullshit.
Right, 100%. And I wouldn't blame you because that you're not taught that.
No,
You're taught
to
that
have it from 5. It's like, no, that's not going anywhere.
yeah, it's hopeless. Nothing's going to fix this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So please, I promise you, if you know somebody with bad psoriasis, bad eczema, they've lost all hope. 100%. I promise you they have. Let them hear Amanda's story because, I mean, that's a big deal. All right. Here's
I
John.
have my story on my YouTube channel.
Oh, I love it.
It's called My Story.
Is it Decker Less Carbs on
It
YouTube as
is.
well?
Yeah.
That was very thoughtful of you to do that. John,
It's bad when we
Carnivore
both-
for 1 year, lost 30 pounds, coffee with egg yolk, got it. Something heavy whipping cream, all meat, labs went way up, cholesterol 269, trigs 48, which is beautiful, HDL 87, which is beautiful, LDL 172, A1C 5.5, which is beautiful. Doctor concerned about LDL and total cholesterol, much too high. Your take. I'm not worried about your total cholesterol or LDL at all. I love it that you're metabolically healthy. And how do I know that? Your triglycerides, your HDL, and your A1C are all beautiful.
Absolutely.
You're winning, John. Your doctor is not winning. Okay. Your doctor doesn't know what the hell he or she's talking about. You're winning. Keep doing what you're doing. Gary, we have been on Carnivore a couple of weeks and haven't seen much change. And so in 2 weeks, your life has not been revolutionized. I was reading that a recommended amount of meat was 1.5 to 2 pounds of meat a day. Is that pre-cooked weight or after cooked weight? Now, this is Gary is a good person. Gary is a smart person. This is a classic case of human overcomplicating syndrome. That should be a diagnosable condition. You have human overcomplicating syndrome. That's what's wrong with you. Here's how much meat I ate. You want me to tell you how much meat I ate yesterday? I have no damn idea. I have literally, I could go back and calculate it, but I don't know and I don't care. When I'm hungry, I eat meat. I eat meat until I'm full. Then I stop eating. Then I don't eat again until I'm truly hungry again. Is that how you do it? That's how you do it too.
Except a little bit of vegetable.
Of course. Yeah. And fungus. Yeah, and fruit, evidently. So I don't know.
Peppers a little.
I got you. Okay. So how much meat did you eat yesterday? How many ounces? No clue. Yeah.
I had about 5 eggs.
So Gary, there's a lot of people out there. They find influencers and gurus. If I complicate this, I make this really complicated, then I can sell a $49.99 course, or I can sell a $150 course, and then people will be so busy tracking on their phone their macros and oh my God, let me put this. No, if you're eating a carnivore diet, that is literally unnecessary. Somewhere between a pound of meat and 5 pounds of meat, Gary. That's how much meat you should eat a day. Let your hunger be your guide. I was just out in the pasture with the sheep today, and I asked all the sheep, how many pounds of grass do you guys eat a day? And hey, none of them knew. They're like, I just eat grass and hay. I don't know how much I eat, but yet they're all perfectly healthy.
Yep. So eat till you're comfortably stuffed. And over time, you just kind of eat less.
Yeah.
Comfortably stuffed level goes down.
There's these hormones in charge of your hunger. And there's those other hormones in charge of satiety or fullness. And when you first start this, those hormones may be all mucked up. And it may take you a few weeks or a month or two for all those hormones to get optimized. But when they do, you'll be like, oh, I'm hungry. And it won't be that you're bored. It won't be that it's time to eat. It won't be that you're mad or sad or depressed or lonely or bored. You're truly hungry, and you can feel that. And then you'll eat. And then when you get to the stopping point, the satiety hormones kick in. And you're like, oh, I'm full. That's it. I'm done. You won't have to measure or weigh anything. I promise it works. Just trust and give it a try. Warbuck. Hi, guys. My type 1 diabetic son's new endocrinologist said, oh, I already know I'm going to hate this.
You want to just stop looking?
Says he needs to eat carbs so that he will need insulin. He says
he's going to need insulin anyways.
We're going to talk about endocrinologists here in a second. He says it's an important hormone for many reasons, not just blood sugar. I don't agree. Well, so the second part of the endocrinologist statement, I do agree with. The insulin is a super important hormone, and it does hundreds of things in your body. That's absolutely true. But eating carbs just so that your son will be forced to inject more insulin is idiotic, moronic. When you're in med school,
I didn't go to med school.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I did. When you're in med school, the nerds went into either dermatology or endocrinology or cardiothoracic or brain surgery, neurosurge. But I mean, endocrinology residents, which they did internal, but then they did a fellowship. But like an endocrinology fellow, oh my God. Like when they were walking down the hall in the hospital, like they had a neon sign of their IQ, like 172. Like, oh my God, brilliant. But then when they get out in practice, they're literally just algorithm whores. Whatever the algorithm says, that's what they're going to do. That's just, they don't have any thought. They don't think things through. So the first part of this statement is idiotic, Warbuck. But the second part is actually true. So I don't want you to feel like insulin is the enemy. Excess insulin is the enemy. You want your son to be eating as low carb as possible. You didn't tell me the age, so I don't know if carnivore is fine for them, huzzah. But if they're, maybe 7 years old, maybe they want some berries and some fruit and some stuff. That's okay. Let's just keep the carbs to a minimum. Always prioritize the meat and the eggs and the fish first. Then we can have some berries for dessert or something. It's much easier to calculate the insulin dosage.
Absolutely.
If there are fewer carbs, because you need insulin for protein as well. You need a tiny amount for fats, but you need a meaningful amount for protein if you eat protein in your diet. So unless your son's going to just live on 100% fat, which I don't recommend, you're going to have to inject some insulin. That's not a bad thing. It sucks that your son has to do that, but it's not like insulin's the enemy. That's not true. So check a C-peptide. Have the doctor check a C-peptide just to make sure your son is truly type 1, first of all, because I bet that may or may not have been done. Who knows? And then keep the carbs as low as you possibly can. That way you inject way less insulin. And anytime the subject of type 1 diabetes comes up, I always have to recommend Dr. Bernstein's book, The Diabetes Solution. Dr. Bernstein needs to be nominated right now for a Nobel Prize.
Absolutely.
100%. He deserves a Nobel Prize in medicine for his innovation of how you treat type 1 diabetes. Your endocrinologist is an idiot with that first part of that statement.
The SMHP just put out a position statement on type 1 diabetics and low carbohydrate diets.
And the American Diabetes Society, they allowed us to adopt it and use it on our website as well.
Awesome.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, listen to Dr. Bernstein. Ignore your endocrinologist. Vicky, how bad is 40 milligrams Kenalog knee joint injection? Bowed leg from osteoarthritis. Heard it can cause cancer, but pain holds back life. Can it be saved? Scared of replacement. Yeah, so a lot of things there to impact.
Absolutely.
So 40 milligrams Kenalog, that's pretty standard knee injection. I've injected, Jesus, so many thousands of knees and ankles and hips and elbows and shoulders.
Yeah.
I bet 20,000 is a good pay, like so many, because I love doing procedures.
Yeah.
I love to do stuff.
Gets quick relief.
And it gives very quick relief. It's not going to cause cancer. I've never seen any research. Have you seen any?
No, in fact, they use, this may be bad, but they use steroids in dogs to treat cancer.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
it's a low chemotherapy.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not going to cause cancer. If you're not keto or carnivore, you need to go immediately, because both Amanda and I in our practice have seen people with bone-on-bone arthritis have zero pain in the joint, no pain. And what you actually said holds back life. That's right. Right. What if your knee still had all that arthritis in it, but it just didn't hurt anymore? How would that be? Would that be a victory? I feel like it would be. Then you wouldn't have to get any more Kenalog shots, which is a steroid, which that's pretty standard. Can the joint be saved? Yeah. If you've got zero pain in the joint, would you have it replaced? No, you wouldn't. Keto or carnivore, please. How many stories have you heard in the clinic of, damn, my knee don't even hurt anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are people that were headed for knee replacement and they don't go. And sometimes they still do, but it's possible.
Yep. When I was first recommending keto years ago in the clinic, that's one of the first signals to me that's like, maybe this is somehow more than just a weight loss diet. because that's weird. Because the first guy who said that, I'm like, whatever, patients are nuts. But then the 10th guy said that, I'm like, well, crap, maybe I need to look into this. How does it help arthritis? Yeah, 100%. It lowers the chronic inappropriate inflammation, and it makes your knee just hurt less. And if your knee hurts less enough, you're not going to have a knee replacement.
Right.
Absolutely. Dark sky. Can you take so many antibiotics that you get dysbiosis that does not resolve with diet changes? Great question. My answer might shock you. You may need to do specialized tests for microbiome and target overgrown strains of bacteria and fungus. So it's normal to have bacteria in your gut and viruses and fungus.
You'd die without them.
You would die without them. They're supposed to be there. Now, I hear this a lot. I hear gurus say this a lot, like, oh, you've taken so many rounds of antibiotics, your gut microbiome, gut bacteria is shot, or it's just you've killed them all. You're going to have to take my $129 probiotic to put the bacteria back.
Yeah.
Is that true, Amanda Decker, nurse practitioner? 100% no. If I were able, like the old televangelist, to reach in through the television screen and put my hand on your colon, that'd be weird, wouldn't it? And make every bacteria in your gut disappear. You would be so sick, so quick, you might even die. It's no. Nobody has no bacteria in their colon. I don't care if you've taken 472 rounds of antibiotics, you still have bacteria in your colon. Now, you may have the wrong ratios and the wrong strains and too much of this one and not enough of that one. But even when you take a blockbuster antibiotic like Augmentin or Levaquin, you don't kill all the bacteria in your gut. You don't kill all the good bacteria. You might decimate them. You might kill 90%, but there's always bacteria and they quickly repopulate. All you got to do is fix your diet, and your gut bacteria they're going to go right back to optimal levels of everything. We've seen this so many times. Do you check a lot of poop samples?
No.
I didn't know if a lot of people do a lot of that. I think it's completely unnecessary.
I mean, if someone feels better on a probiotic, I don't think there's anything wrong for taking it.
100%. Not going to hurt you.
Now, what I would say is C. diff. You can take so many antibiotics that you
100%
get C. diff, and that's a completely different story.
And that's from a wrecked gut and a really bunged up microbiome. But once you fix the microbiome, C. diff is actually a wussy bacteria when it comes to the other gut microbiome, and so the gut bacteria. So if any of you guys keep having C. diff over and over, you got to go keto or carnivore because it's going to upregulate all the good, vigorous Hercules bacteria.
Keep it in check.
And C. diff is a wussy. That's why young, healthy people never get C. diff. It's only after you've just been steroided and antibiotic to death can C. diff get a toehold. And as soon as you repopulate all the good bacteria, it's gone again. And actually, does the C. diff go away? No. You'll always have C. diff, but it just won't cause problems anymore. I can remember when MRSA was getting a really big deal. I used to order betadine, I'd order the patient a gallon of betadine. And I'd be like, you're going to literally wipe down your entire body because they
just gave him a self-tanner.
Right. And then, you're going to do the swabs up your nose. We're going to eradicate this MRSA. That was idiotic of me. That was dumb. I thought I was going to beat MRSA. That person has always been colonized with MRSA. Now we look back, it's like, that was so dumb. You either got 30% of people have MRSA. It's no big deal if your diet and your lifestyle and your body's healthy. It's just another bacteria along for the ride. It's only if you're somehow your immune system's been crippled with lots of antibiotics, lots of steroids, with lots of psoriasis, biologics. Then MRSA can get a toehold and start causing infection. C. diff can get a toehold and start causing infection. Fix the terrain, fix your body, fix your gut bacteria with the proper human diet. And all that stuff just goes back to the back of the bus where it belonged and where it's been the whole time, but you didn't even know it. Yeah. That freaks people out when I'm like, yeah, you got MRSA and staph and C. diff. You're going to have it forever. It's no big deal. John, brother, had a hard conversation with my endocrinologist, had a total thyroidectomy and have been carnivore. My labs were not what she wanted, and we had the discussion. Can I see you? So you said that to your endocrinologist? You can see Amanda Decker in Dixon, Tennessee. She's licensed in 22 states. She can do a virtual visit. There's a link to her clinic in the show notes. Yeah. And she's not an endocrinologist, but she's damn good at thyroid. I can tell you that because I look at all her charts. Jacob, thank you very much. David, according to Dr. Joseph Mercola, any amount of alcohol affects your mitochondria. I agree. He says we have been duped that red wine is healthy. I 100% agree. I don't agree with Dr. Mercola on many things, but on this, I 100% agree. Dr. Andrew Huberman also says the same thing. Any amount of alcohol is poison to the human body. Absolutely. The end. That's just true. The others, I know, right? But with that being said, she has an occasional glass of wine every now and then. I have an occasional whiskey soda wine once every 3 months or so, because we're adults. We get to do dumb stuff if we want to, right? But there is no health benefit to drinking alcohol. No. Literally none. Anybody who says otherwise is either ignorant or they're trying to sell you something. Jacob, I'm 18, went from 250 down to 210. And have had keloids for 2 years. Despite 30 days of water fasting, I'm still getting more. How can I stop and remove them? So you're probably not going to reverse the keloids. First of all, congrats on the 40-pound weight loss. Whether you develop keloids or not is genetic, as far as I can tell. I think that keloids are more likely to develop if you're hyperinsulinemic and chronically inflamed. I think they're more likely and they're going to be bigger. But you still have the genetic predisposition. So what I want you to do is I want you to stay keto or carnivore, whichever works best for you. Get your metabolic health in order, heal. And then you're going to go see a surgeon and have the keloids removed, because if you have your keloids removed and you're eating the old way, they're just going to come back. But I've heard 2 or 3 case reports now of people who used to keloid, like when you get your ears pierced, you'd have a big keloid, right? Or you get a cut on your arm, you got this big thing, that after they were carnivore for 6 to 12 months, they went and had a keloid removed and it did not come back, which is huge. Can you imagine having a keloid from getting your ears pierced? That would suck so bad.
Do you think he's noticing them more because of the weight loss?
Yeah, you're probably noticing them because there's just less Jacob to see anymore. But I would wait and get completely metabolically healthy with normal HSCRP, normal fasting insulin, normal triglycerides, and then go see a surgeon and say, hey, I want to have one of these keloids removed, the one that bugs you the most, and then see what happens. Yeah, and don't be surprised if it didn't come back. Jim says you look like Neisha's mom, but much younger.
I've never met Neisha's mom.
She's not unattractive.
I mean, she's your mother-in-law. You probably should.
Sama, 80-year-old stepdad diagnosed with glioblastoma in 2022. Started less than 20 total grams ketogenic diet, 100%. Every quarterly MRI showed no disease progression. His latest MRI reported no evidence of residual disease. We see this as no cancer, but not a word on keto from the doc. What are your thoughts? So I have actually interviewed Dr. Dave Harper and Dr. Thomas Seyfried on this YouTube channel. There's actually published research about a ketogenic diet for glioblastoma. Absolutely in the literature. And so the fact that the oncologist didn't mention that or know that is worrisome. Yeah. That's worrisome, right?
Why would you not recommend it for that? I mean, this is pretty much a death
sentence. It's a death sentence, right?
So why would you not give the option?
Sama's stepdad is healed from a ketogenic diet. And for those of you out there going, keto don't heal no cancer, what? Yeah, more and more research is coming out every single day. It's black and white on glioblastoma. It's in the literature. You can look it up at pubmed.gov.
You know, so many oncologists still, they believe that sugar does not feed cancer. Well, what does if sugar doesn't?
Right. How come when you're doing a PET scan, you use radio-labeled sugar to find the cancer, doctor? Why is that? If cancer doesn't love sugar, why don't you use radio-labeled bacon fat?
Yes.
Because the cancer wouldn't take that up. Because cancer don't want no bacon grease.
I'll take it.
Cancer wants sugar. And so, yeah, if you know anybody with brain cancer, especially glioblastoma, they 100% need to be on a real whole food ketogenic diet. And when I say keto,
They have to watch their protein level. They have to get
That's
in
right.
ketosis.
That's right. But you can't, I'm not talking about keto bread and keto pancakes and keto cookies. That's keto bullshit is what that is.
Exactly.
Keto is real whole foods. Okay. And it needs to be very high fat, moderate protein, as low carb as you can tolerate. And the cancer hates that diet. That's the diet that cancer hates the most, is a zero carb diet. And so if you know anybody with cancer, you take a screenshot and show them Sama's comment, because this is real. This is established science that the cancer doctor just doesn't know about, I guess. I don't know. Barbara, beginner on carnivore, and I'm struggling with my gastroparesis. Type 2 diabetic. Any recommendations? Yeah. Do you have many gastroparesis patients?
Several, yes.
Yeah. Have you noticed a trend that as they reverse their type 2 diabetes, that over months, not days or weeks, but over months, that the gastroparesis gets less severe? You've seen that too? Yeah, I've seen that so many times. And most doctors will tell you that's it. Your stomach's done. There's no hope. We both in our clinical practice have seen people who literally had to frappe every single thing that they ate. If you don't know what frappe is, then you don't have gastroparesis, or you would know what that is. That means to put it in a blender. And they had to have 7, 8, 9, 10 little meals a day, because that's all their stomach can handle. But I think that this is something that soon there'll be published research on gastroparesis, because not only is keto or carnivore going to reverse the type 2 diabetes, it's going to definitely reverse any further progression of gastroparesis, right? But I've seen so many cases that it actually regressed. It got better. It improved back to where they could eat solid food again. And so would you recommend keto carnivore?
I would. Now, she may still have to start with smaller meals and not,
100%.
you don't need to eat till comfortably stuffed.
That's
not going to
That's
be
right.
you.
100%.
Probably also need to go a little higher on the fat content.
100%. And you may, if you're currently having to put everything in a magic bullet or a ninja, you'll have to start out with keto or carnivore doing that. But then as time goes on, you'll have to blend it less and less and less. You can eat more and more solid food. It's going to take months. It's not fast, because what you're regrowing is nerves. And so that takes longer. This is not like just a cut healing. This is going to be a longer process. But yeah, there's absolutely hope, 100% to reverse the type 2 diabetes, but to significantly improve the gastroparesis. Yeah, 100%. I love questions like that. It's like, oh, honey, there's more hope than you even dreamed about there being. Yes. Miriam, carnivore for a person with both Hashimoto's and high iron. Yes, you can do low carb, keto, ketovore, carnivore. See a hematologist for your high iron. I have found you're good at this, but many primary care healthcare providers are not good at, if a ferritin's elevated or an iron is elevated, it's like their brain falls out of their head. Yeah. And it's like they just stop thinking. It's like this person is still a human. This person still needs a proper human diet. Yeah. We may have to do phlebotomy. We may have to do this, that, or the other, but this person still needs nutrient dense, ancestrally appropriate food, right?
There's more in there than just iron.
Right. Meat's not 100% iron. Exactly. Yeah. And there's many meats that aren't as high in iron as other meats. So you can still do carnivore just fine. Yes. And Hashimoto's 100%. I've seen multiple cases of Hashimoto's going to complete remission with ketovore or carnivore. Yeah, absolutely. Who's next? Are you having fun?
Yeah.
This is fun? Okay, good. Terry. My testosterone is 47 and DHEA is 299. Diagnosed with PCOS at 39. Low sex drive, pelvic pain, already quit caffeine. Options for getting those down besides birth control. Oh, you want to take this one?
So I would say we need to look at strength training, lifting heavy
Yeah,
things,
I
so
love
that
it.
your muscles
Notice
are way
she
more
didn't
sensitive.
mention that she's on any particular diet.
No, she didn't.
I love number one.
Yes.
Lift heavy things.
Lift heavy things.
Build muscle.
You need to keep your carbs way low, very
100%.
low. I would also be looking at your stress levels. Men underestimate the stress levels and what it does to us women, but it definitely drives up the testosterone and the androgens in our system. So incorporating deep breathing, incorporating stretching, yoga, whatever it is that makes you happy. Yeah.
100%. And you didn't mention one lab test that your doctor absolutely should
insulin
check.
level?
What's your insulin level? Because PCOS, I've got a video on my YouTube channel about this. PCOS is hyperinsulinemia and chronic inappropriate inflammation. The testosterone and the DHEA are just symptoms of the hyperinsulinemia. Once you get down to under 20 total grams of carbs a day, you're going to fix the hyperinsulinemia. And then all of your PCOS symptoms are going to start regressing.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen it?
Oh goodness, I can't even count that one.
So many times, right? It's almost as if the carbohydrates caused the hyperinsulinemia and caused the PCOS.
How did that happen?
It's almost like, and then because when you remove the carbs, it goes away.
Yeah.
Now it takes months. It's not going to go away in a day or a week. It's going to take a few months, but each month you're going to be like, no, I'm better. And you got to be careful, Terry, because you're 47. You're still in the window. If you don't want to get knocked up, you better take precautions, because that's one of the very first ways that I found out that keto is more than just a weight loss diet.
Yeah.
Because I had a 48-year-old and a 51-year-old.
Devastation.
Both in the menopause, one with PCOS and in perimenopause. And I said, you need to go keto because it's going to help you lose weight and that'll help balance your hormones. They both came back 3-6 months later pregnant.
They're ready to crucify
you. One was very happy.
Okay.
One was not even 1% happy with Dr. Berry. And so, keto will take care of this and fix this for you.
Sometimes progesterone too, helping to balance out those androgens.
100%. Absolutely. Matt, realistically, how bad is 5 to 10 drinks once a week? Okay, Matt's a young man. He's a little hard-headed. If a young man on a perfect carnivore diet, health habits, will the congeners in whiskey and vodka have a noticeably significant effect on health? Did you mean alcohol?
When we both turn our heads that way, that's something.
We're like a dog. I don't know what congeners is. So one drop of alcohol is poison. Now, it is absolutely true, as Hippocrates says, the dose makes the poison. Or was it Galen? I can't remember. Some wise physician said that, and that's true. So if you drink one drop of alcohol, is that going to have any noticeable effect? No. But if you're drinking 5 to 10, and this sounds like a binge drinking episode is what this sounds like. You went out on Saturday night, and you're like, you know what? Let's throw this shit down. This is, you can literally see liver enzyme elevations after this. This will damage your liver to have 5 or 10 drinks, 5 or 10 beers, 5 or 10 glasses of wine. This is no bueno. You do not want to do this.
And it does away with the whole perfect carnivore diet.
100%. You're not carnivore.
No,
you're drinking plants, bro. So what are you doing? Yeah, but I've actually had people who had a bad weekend and come in on Monday morning and they're like, oh my God, I'm still hungover. And their AST would actually be elevated. Their liver enzymes. And back then I didn't check GGTs. Now I would, and that would be elevated as well. But 100%, Matt, this is dumb. Okay. And I used to be a dumb young man. So I'm not being mean to you. I'm just saying I get it. But you got to cut it down to 2 to 3 drinks. Okay. Being designated driver is fun. It's its own kind of fun because you literally get video of everybody else being an idiot, and then you can blackmail them with it. So look into being the designated driver. John, I submitted another super chat. Oh, John, I'm sorry, not showing up. Looking for insight on being carnivore and having no thyroid it was removed due to cancer. My labs are skewed and had to fire my endocrinologist. Amanda consults remotely, and she's very good at thyroid. John, there's a link to her practice in the show notes. Hopefully you're in one of the 22 or 23 states that she's licensed in. So you can reach out to her. But I can tell you 100% carnivore is part of a proper human diet, whether you have a thyroid or not, whether you have ovaries or not, whether you have a gallbladder or not, whether you have an appendix or not, whether you have a lung or not. You got to have at least one. But even if you've had anything removed, you're still a human being and you need to eat a proper human diet. It's really that simple. It sounds too simple, but it's that simple. Gregory, strict carnivore, 4 years, never fallen off, 70 years old, fasting insulin 2.1, CRP 0.8, trigs 100, A1C 5.1. Dang, boy, you got it. avid road cyclist and CrossFit. CAC was 104 years ago and now 0. Yet another case of a CAC, right? Even though your friendly neighborhood vegan cardiologist will tell you that you can never, ever get rid of the elevated CAC score, here's yet another example. Now, I think it's going to take the CrossFit, the heavy lifting, the high intensity interval training, plus carnivore to actually regress the lesions. Also, some people are looking at nattokinase, and I'm not for it, but I'm also not against it. I've got an open mind. Maybe. But what if you're eating a standard American diet, laying on the couch, taking nattokinase?
So I just did a video on that last week.
I love it.
There was a study.
Teach us.
And they did see regression with nattokinase. It increased regression if you were on K2 or taking an aspirin with it.
Right.
But the worse off your diet, the more improvement they saw.
The worse your diet, the more improvement.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you were the smoker, you had more room to go,
so
they
unhealthy,
saw more.
But because you were the least healthy of all.
Are they going to fix everything? No, but might it help? Yes, and they found no side effects, which was the big thing. They didn't see a downside.
So I'm not opposed to nattokinase, but you 100% need to be eating a proper human diet and lifting heavy, running fast, vigorous stuff in the bedroom, however you're going to get sweaty and out of breath. You need to be doing that. I've seen hundreds of people show me, you just got that, huh? Show me their before and after CACs. We've got people in our private community where Amanda's also often a guest star inside of our private community as well, who's like, yeah, my CAC used to be this, now it's down to this. That doesn't happen for everybody, but we've seen it so many times. Should you add some nattokinase? Maybe. I'm not opposed to it. I'm going to keep looking into it. Let's do one more. Amanda Decker, nurse practitioner, licensed in 22 states. Coach Carla, I've been strict carnivore since July of 24. Beef, bacon, eggs, chicken, ground turkey. I'm down 31 pounds. Anybody need to lose 31 pounds? Now I'm experiencing a lot of aches and pains. Please advise. Now, Coach Carla, keep in mind that just because something happens to you doesn't mean your diet caused it. Right? There's many other things. So the first thing I would say, let's go to the doctor. Let's get an exam. Let's get some lab work. Let's make sure that you don't have some undiagnosed condition flared up or some new condition, and go from there. That'd be step one. I don't think there's anything wrong with your diet. Some people would yell at you about the chicken and the turkey. Maybe try 90 days and without just beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. See if that fixes it. Or
how old is Coach Carla? Do you know?
I do not know how old Coach Carla is. She looks like 25?
Yeah, really
something like that.
But joint aches and pains is often one of the signs of perimenopause, premenopause, and menopausal conditions.
Yes, it is, unfortunately. Like literally everything that can go wrong can be a sign of menopause. Yeah, literally everything. So it may be time to get the sex hormones, maybe time to get the thyroid checked or the adrenal glands. Definitely get an HSCRP to see if this is inflammatory or if there's something else going on. All right, guys, that's it. Tell me in the comments how you enjoyed Amanda Decker. I think she did pretty darn good. What do you think? What do you think? Tell me in the comments. And don't forget, it's not too late to share this video because we answered a lot of great questions.
We did.
And it could help a lot of people if you shared this on your favorite social media. I'm going to be live again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central inside of our private group. So if you want to ask me more questions, there's a link in the show notes to sign up for our private community. And I'll see you in there tomorrow at 4 p.m. Now, you got to say love you, mean it, because Neisha always says that.
I'm going to be live tomorrow at 5:05 on my channels. Love you, mean it.